Howdy. When I was younger and I would hear the phrase that the Lord is my banner, I was oftentimes really confused. I would hear the song that his banner over me is love, and I was really confused why it was that a giant flag being on top of us was supposed to signify God's love to us. Now, over time, I've understood the fact that banners can designate that someone belongs to a king's army, is a part of their people, basically being claimed by the king themselves. And whenever we see that with God, what we're seeing is the fact that God is saying that He is claiming us to be His own. Now, this is a very important idea because in acknowledging that we belong to God, we're saying that there's not just an idea of obligation, but the fact that we have identity with Him. Now, whenever we think about being marked by God, we specifically think about baptism. Now, in 1 Peter 3, it says, "For Christ also suffered once for sins, the righteous for the unrighteous, that He might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but made alive in the Spirit, in which He went and proclaimed to the spirits in prison, because they formerly did not obey, when God's patience waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was being prepared, in which a few, that is 8 persons, were brought safely through water. Baptism which corresponds to this now saves you, not as a removal of dirt from the body, but as an appeal to God for a good conscience, through the resurrection of Jesus Christ, who has gone into heaven and is at the right hand of God, with angels, authorities, and powers having been subjected to Him." You see, oftentimes we want to use the term Christian as this label, something that in a sense protects us from the rest of the world, because we see it as something that makes us good people. But the thing is that being Christian is not about just putting on a label. It's something that's meaningful because of how it was earned in the first place. The idea of God claiming us to be His own is because of the idea that there is actually being rescue, there is actually salvation, there is actually an act that is being undertaken that is meant to transform someone's identity from just being like anybody else to now belonging to the King who has saved them. With that, what we see is that while Noah was building his ark and he had to believe that there was actually reason to build this ark in the first place, even as we see Moses leading people through the Red Sea and saying there is going to be hope in the middle of this wilderness, the thing is that Jesus, being on this earth, giving Himself for us and saying that He will conquer death for us, even descending down into death itself, and saying that He would go to proclaim hope to the spirits who were in prison. The thing is that His victory is to be able to say that He has gone through these things. Not to be able to see, not to be able to say that I'm just going to declare it, but rather that He's going to earn it. So when we say that God's banner is over us, what we're actually saying is that He has fought a battle that has been hard fought and taken His own life. And through that action, through that loss, through that sacrifice, He ends up saying that He has given up everything for us so that we would belong to Him. So when we stand with Him on the battlefield, fighting what is evil, what we end up seeing is that it's not just this idea of saying I'm going to be a Christian because I feel it makes me sound good, but rather is to realize that it was fought and bled and died for. And now, because of that, we have a new life and a new identity in Him.